I just had a very interesting conversation with a security guard outside of the grocery store. It's Saturday night, and my schedule at work changed, so instead of going to the gym in the mornings after or before work, I went after work tonight. And then Saturday night for me is a good night to go grocery shopping, because nobody wants to go shopping Saturday night, so the grocery stores are pretty empty. And then the security guy, when I started leaving the store, we started talking and had a great conversation. A great conversation about Jesus too. It was awesome. And it just kind of led me to this, I guess, because grocery store's right around the corner from me, but I'm like, I'm going to share some stuff with you guys that I was sharing with him. And I think, man, maybe I should share it with you guys too. I love when you talk to people that know about stuff that's going on. Listen, let me share you something about from Psalm 120. Psalm 120, I'll explain it while I'm driving, but maybe I'll explain now. There are rabbinical Hebrew scholars that see similarities with the book of Psalms and with the years that we live in, starting with the year 1901. They see similarities, especially with Israel. You got to remember, Israel's kind of like the center in here, in this book, right? Israel first, then Gentile nations branch out of there. But Israel's center. So, things that were perhaps happening in Israel at that time that pertain to the time of 1901. Then in Psalm 2, that would be 1902. Psalm 50 would be 1950, you understand? Psalm 99 would be 1999. So Psalm 100 would represent the year 2000, okay? Now listen, I'm not saying this is a fact. I'm just saying this is what I heard some years ago, and so I like to do some studying in here and say, man, what if there is something with that? What if God designed it to be that way in this book, right? What if that was some masterful thing that God designed? That would take the year 2020, it would make it Psalm 120. You see? Psalm 120, that would represent 2020. I did a lot of studying, looking up the meaning of certain words in the Hebrew language, right? That Psalm was written in. There were just some interesting things like 2020. Now, so before 2020 came, I was reading Psalm 120 back in 2019. I just wanted to see if there was anything in there that the Lord would share with me, because I was talking to the Lord, about what do you want me to talk about this year on YouTube? I communicate with him that way, even if you think it's not real or whatever, but I do. And hearing. First he shows me a name Simon, the dude that carried that cross, cross beam, because there were two beams that Jesus was nailed to. One huge one they put in the ground to hang his body on, and another one that they put his hands had to stretch out on, right? So that's a pretty big piece of wood, and it has to be heavy and thick enough to carry somebody. So imagine you just got beaten almost to death like Jesus did, and then you have to carry this big old rugged piece of wood that probably has splinters all over it, and going into his open back, right? That had to be pretty brutal. So a guy named Simon, I know the Bible says they compelled him to help Jesus, but actually the word in Greek is they forced him. He was into forced labor, right? Forced to help the Son of God carry that crossbeam. So Simon, I looked up the name Simon, and it was hearing. And then I look at Romans 10:17 as a theme scripture. Faith comes by hearing. And I'm like, that's interesting, Lord. 2020, and you want me to talk about hearing? Why? Well, what do you live by, Michael? I live by faith. That's right. Do you live by physical sight, or do you live by faith? Well, I used to live by physical sight, but now I live by faith. Okay, so your 2020 vision isn't physical, it's your faith. Okay, 2020 vision, faith. And how does faith come? Romans 10:17, by hearing. Aha. So you'll put your faith in what you're hearing, right? Yeah, okay. So do you have faith in the media, or do you have faith in me? Media, where do they get the word media? From medium, like a spirit medium. Media is a medium. They're made to program you. That's why they call everything a program that you watch. So you can put faith into what they are speaking in your hearing. And many, many people have put their faith in what they were hearing on the media, so much that they were driven to riot and destroy people's homes and businesses and vehicles and even kill them. It's been going on through the world, everywhere, here in America anyway, since this whole COVID thing. And I was reading Psalm 120 before this whole thing starts, and it's talking about in verse 1, in my distress, I called the Lord, and he answered me. Deliver me, Lord, from lying lips, from a deceitful tongue. You know, there were so many lies and deception, and it's still being carried through into 2021. But lies and deception with the media, never seen it in my life, never seen it so rampant, okay? Deliver me from lying lips and a deceitful tongue. What shall be given to you, and what more shall be done to you, you deceitful tongue? Now check it out. Here's what's interesting in verse 4. A warrior's sharp arrows with glowing coals of the broom tree. The broom tree in Hebrew is rathem. Rathem. It's a type of bush that has the highest quality coals that are made from it. They burn longer than any coal and with intense heat. That's what I wrote down because I looked up what a broom tree is. So very interesting. Intense. Could it have anything? These warriors' arrows with glowing coals of the broom tree. Could that maybe be speaking something about that virus? Right? I don't know, you guys. But he says, woe to me. Woe to me. Right? Woe is great sorrow. It's the Hebrew word oyan. It means great sorrow, or oya. Great sorrow to me that I sojourn or dwell, abide. That's what sojourn means, to dwell or abide. Woe to me that I dwell or abide in Meshech. Meshech means who is drawn by force. You're sojourning or dwelling in Meshech, drawn by force. What kind of force happened in 2020? You're forced to stay at home. You're forced not to go to school. You're forced not to go to work. You're forced not to go to the gym. You were forced to stay at home. Stay. Right? Remember? They kept telling us, stay at home, stay at home. Then he says, and I dwell among the tents of Kedar. Kedar. Do you know what Kedar means? Dark one. Darkness. Darkness. Yeah, you're in your home. There's darkness going on. Right? You're hearing it on the news. You're terrified for your life. Oh my goodness, what is this virus that's going around killing everybody? Right? And then these riots start happening and all this crazy stuff. Darkness. Kedar means darkness or black. Interesting, because the whole Black Lives Matter even thing was starting too, you know? Just trippy how the Psalms have so much to do so far. Psalm 120 has to do a lot with 2020. And he says in verse 6, too long have I had my dwelling among those who hate peace. Yeah, I am for peace, but when I speak, they are for war. So basically, they might say that they're for peace, but they're not. They're for war. They don't want peace, they want war, right? when he says, he says, too long have I had my dwelling among those who hate peace. My is the Hebrew word nephesh, talking about his soul. You know, it's really disturbing, his soul. Your spirit, if you're a believer, your spirit is at rest, your spirit's at peace, but man, getting your soul to be at the same place, labor to enter the place of rest, which is in your spirit. It's a labor to get our souls in there, you guys. Now check it out. So now that looks a lot like the stuff that's going on in 2020. And then we go to Psalm 121, which is a song of ascents. Ascent means what? To go up. It's from the Hebrew word ma'alah. It's like a stairway that goes up, like a spiral stairway. Ascending is the quickest way to ascend when you're on stairs, if it goes spiral, right? That's what it means. It's like I said, it's from the Hebrew word ma'alah, which means step, stairs, or what comes up, right? To ascend, come up. And that's the thing. For this year, before 2021, I was asking the Lord, what do you want 2021? And he showed me 3 words: immediately. First he showed me 2 words: immediately and suddenly and immediately, suddenly, immediately. And I started seeing suddenly, immediately all over in the New Testament, right? Especially Luke. Luke always likes to say immediately. But even the other gospel writers, you'll see suddenly, you'll see immediately, all these things that suddenly happens. Suddenly, immediately what? Suddenly, immediately what, Lord? Well, go to Psalm 121. Maybe there's something there for you. And I read the whole thing and I'm all, Ascension. I get it, Ascension, okay. So you want me to speak about sudden, immediate ascension, meaning you're above all this mess. And you'll instantly realize it. You'll suddenly, immediately realize it, right? When it clicks, when you get it, when you believe it, click, right? Everybody might be in fear, but you rise above it. You're not descending, although sometimes it feels like we descend. But before we ascend, sometimes you do have to descend first, like on a trampoline. You just boing, you bounce, and you descend first, and then you ascend. And the further you descend, the further you ascend, right? You get it? So this Song of Ascensions, I'm not going to go over the entire Psalm 121 like I did 120. Not for tonight, because I want to go. I want to go home. But listen, Psalm 121, the very first verse says, I lift my eyes to the hills. From where does my help come from? My help comes from the Lord who made heaven and earth. Okay, so the beginning of Psalm 121, and we're in 2021. Is there anything in here? Is there anything that we need to know? Well, yeah. The first words, lift up, I lift up is the Hebrew word NASA, N-A-S-A, NASA. What's our NASA here in America? They say it's an acronym. It stands for National Aeronautics something Association, whatever. But if I'll find the meaning and put it in the description box, perhaps, and then you can look it up if and see it there, because I can't remember right now. Let me see. Maybe I wrote it down. I wrote it down. Good. NASA in English, National Aeronautics and Space Administration. National Aeronautics and Space Administration. Now listen, you might believe, because that's what they say, oh, that we made up the word NASA because it, national, it's just an acronym for National Aeronautics and Space Administration. But this Bible was written way before NASA came into existence, and check it out. Look at what the Hebrew word NASA means, N-A-S-A. It means to lift up, to carry away, to raise up. Carry away, go up, up, up. Isn't that what they say they do when they send rocket ships and all that? We're going to the moon, we're going to Mars, NASA. They'll tell you everything about the skies and the heavens above. They're the ones that know. NASA. Lift up my eyes to the hills. From where does my help come from? No, your help don't come from the hills or the mountains in Hebrew. Ha-ha-rim is the word. Ha-ha-rim, the hills or the mountains. High places, but that's not where his help comes from. Help is ezer in Hebrew. Help or helper, ezer. So my help, my ezer, he says in verse 2, comes from Yahweh, who made heaven and earth. Heaven is shamayim. It means the heavens or the sky. And then earth is eretz. It means earth or land, okay? That's the Hebrew. So his help comes from the one who made this place. Not only earth, but heaven too. Yahweh. So check this out. I don't even really know where to start or anything, but just want to talk about it. Oh man, this is just interesting. This is very interesting. So if Psalm 121 would be the things in there, there's a bunch of other stuff too, but I just want to talk about this right now. I don't want to do the whole study of it. But let's just start with verses 1 and 2. See, the psalmist, I look up to the mountains, to the high places. Where does my help come from? Well, it's not those other places. It's from Yahweh. Yod-Heh-Vav-Heh. That's how you spell Yahweh. Yahweh. They call it the tetragrammaton. Tetra is 4. Grammaton, grammar, letters, right? 4 letters. 4 letters of the Hebrew name Yahweh. You have NASA, NASA, the agency in America. You have them having 4 letters. Maybe coincidence. But when the psalmist looks to the sky, he's looking to Yahweh. When he, NASA, lifts up his eyes, he's looking to Yahweh. Now, we know that there's an antichrist spirit. Anti means in Greek in place of, imitation, or substitute. Looks like the real thing, but it isn't. You might think it's the real thing, but it isn't. Is it Christ? No, it's Antichrist. Talks like the Christ, looks like the Christ, does things like the Christ. Man, is it the Christ? No, it's not the Christ. Now, in the year 2021 that we're in, I don't know if you pay attention to news or not, but the Pentagon was told by some legal authorities that you have until June. You have until June of the year 2021 to disclose the information that you know about UFOs, unidentified flying objects. Now, penta means 5, right? Pentagon, 5 corners and angles. 5 corners, 5 angles. Pentagon. That's what penta is. So, pentagon, 5 angles. So, 4 corners. So the Pentagon needs to release information that they have about UFOs. And if you've seen the news a lot lately, they're showing lots of footage of UFOs from military and pilots, military pilots. This stuff ain't no joke, you guys. I've seen these things in the skies. I've filmed them a few times. I don't know what the heck I was watching, but it was there. I have other people that have been with me many times when I've seen those things. Once upon a time, they made fun of you and said you're cuckoo if you believe in that stuff. Well, guess what? If somebody would have told you there'd be a virus released that would cause everybody to wear masks all the time and close down businesses and killing people, you'd probably think they're cuckoo and paranoid, but it happened. So NASA, I'm pretty sure that NASA will be involved in this then, because aren't they the answers to our skies? Won't people be looking to answers once this stuff is disclosed or revealed? They're going to look to NASA for answers. But there's going to be some that are looking to the Lord for answers. Yahweh, Yeshua Yahweh. Yahweh, 4 letters. We look to those 4 letters. But there will be people that look to the 4 letters of NASA. Oh, we're the National Aeronautics, blah, 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 blah. No. No, that's not a coincidence. That the Hebrew word NASA means to lift off, lift up, carry away, raise. It does not, it's not a coincidence. They took that from scripture because it's anti. You understand? Satan always wants to disguise. Angel of light. That's his disguise. Angel of light. Looks like an angel. Looks like light. Yeah. But it's false light. False angel. You understand that? Now, I'm not here to bash on NASA in America, although I don't trust that group at all, because I've done a little investigating about them. I think there's many things that we're not being told from this group called NASA. But I'm telling you guys, God's word is sharp, man. It's sharp and it's prophetic. And if these few, I don't think there's a whole bunch of them, but there are some rabbinical Hebrew scholars, if they've seen similarities in scripture, and they study their word, you guys, they study, man, do they know stuff. Ooh, just blows me away. But to see the similarities, I'm just wondering, is it possible that this year, this is going to be stuff with NASA and UFOs and disclosure, and because people, they're scared of coronavirus? What's next? Because Jesus talked about a turbo, crazy, bad tribulation like there's never been. And we thought we just hit tribulation through corona and all that. What's going to happen if people start freaking out now because it's been announced, disclosed? Aliens. What are those beings? What are those crafts? Who's controlling them? They're flying at 20,000 miles per hour. That's not, that we don't have anything like that on Earth. Where do they come from? How did they get there? What? Everybody's going to be believing, well, they're from outer space, different planets and solar systems and galaxies, because there's gazillions and gazillions of them, right? Because people bought into NASA, what they've been indoctrinated at schools with, a belief system. Now, if you believe NASA, that's up to you. I don't trust them. No way. I think there's something fishy going on. I think there's going to be some stuff this year. And I actually talked about this before 2021, you guys. When I was reading it, I said there's going to be something with NASA, perhaps, if this is true. And here we've got till next month, because this is May. Tomorrow is Mother's Day. Happy Mother's Day to all of you who are mothers or who have mothers. I hope you have a great time tomorrow, and I hope you get to experience a lot of love exchange between your family members and such. But you guys, I'm not trying to be a prophet or false predict something. I'm just talking, man, this is very possible. And it doesn't seem like a coincidence that Scripture would talk about NASA, where people will lift their eyes. They'll lift their eyes because that's where their hope will come from. But you and I, believers, we lift our eyes to the Lord, and we don't even have to look up high, because if you believe that He lives inside of you, then He lives inside of you. So you lift your eyes of faith to that Spirit of Christ that's in you. He's your protector. He is your shield. And no weapon that is formed against you shall prosper. Right? Isaiah 54:17. So we have some interesting things that might be coming up. Don't be afraid. Jesus said, do not be afraid. Let not your hearts be worried, neither be afraid. So you got to guard them. We got to guard our hearts and minds, right? But there's some things that are going to happen, you guys. Do you know what Psalm 122 talks about? The same thing I think Paul spoke to the Thessalonians, I believe. He says they're going to be saying peace and security, peace and safety, peace and safety, peace and security, right? What's he say? We're talking about the word suddenly this year. He says sudden destruction will come to them. See, I don't think there's going to be a true peace and security. There's going to be a false peace of insecurity, an anti-peace, an anti-security or safety. Looks like the real thing, but it's not. Gave people a false sense of security, like, oh, we're all safe now. We all got vaccinated. Yay, we're safe. False sense of security, false sense of peace, right? To that, so Paul talks about that to the Thessalonians. You know what? Psalm 122, which Lord willing we'll go through next year a little bit, talks about peace and security, or peace and safety. Peace and safety. Peace and security. Interesting. What will be happening next year? I don't know. But I'm telling you guys, this stuff's real. You know it. You're living today. It ain't no joke. It ain't no joke. So anyway, I just thought you might find that interesting. And I think that's all I kind of wanted to share. Something to think about, you guys. Something to think about. Let's just see what happens, right? Let's just see what happens. And don't say, Mike, you are right, because I didn't do it. I just opened up scripture and looked in Hebrew, and I'm just so happy to have listened and done some investigating about this whole, the Psalms relating to the years we're in. And if it does, then thank God, man. That's awesome, God. Your word is powerful and sharp, man. Wow. Prophetically putting something in that book of Psalms, and even having people number it, giving chapters that might relate to the years we live in talking about NASA. Watch out for NASA. Don't make that a false god. Don't rely on them for your answers. Don't rely on the media, which is medium, you guys. Medium. It's a medium to program you. Do you understand? Spirit mediums. They're the ones that they connect you to the spirits. They're the medium, right? Medium, mediate. Spirit medium, right? Media. We will mediate. We'll be the mediums for you. We'll tell you what to believe and what to do. I think you all know not to trust the media. And I'm just saying, don't look to NASA for answers, right? Pray for the people that work for them. There's a great deception, and it's happened, and it's happening, and will continue to happen. So be on guard. Be alert, you guys. Stay awake, right? Trust in the Lord and keep your eyes on Him. He is your Ezer, your helper. All right, I love you guys. God bless you. I hope this message has blessed you, and I'll see you all in the next video. Happy Mother's Day to you all.